Inhale, arms out and up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, step the right leg back into a lunge. Exhale, step the left leg back. Push back, downward facing dog. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, glide forward into a plank. Exhale, knees, chest, chin, or chaturanga. Inhale through upward facing dog or cobra. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, step the right leg forward. Exhale, left leg forward into a fold. Inhale, strong in the legs, rise, arms out and up. Exhale, fold. Inhale as you step the left leg back into a lunge. Exhale, step the right leg back, downward facing dog. Inhale, glide forward into a plank. Exhale, knees, chest, chin, or chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog or cobra. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale as you step the left leg forward into a lunge. Exhale, step the right leg forward into a fold. Inhale, arms out and up. Exhale, hands to heart center. Now we're going to do Surya Namaskar A or Sun Salutation A with a more advanced flow. Inhale, arms out and up. Exhale, fold. Inhale, flat back, halfway lift. Exhale, place your hands on the mat, step, hop, or jump back, chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog or cobra. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale, bend the knees, gaze forward, step, hop, or jump to the front of the mat, fold. Exhale. Inhale, halfway lift, flat back. Exhale, fold. Inhale, bring your arms out and up. Exhale, hands to heart center. Now let's talk a little bit about form during Surya Namaskar A or Sun Salutation A. So after I adjust my ponytail, let's talk about how to stand. So you want to make sure to watch your form. You don't want to just sit into the joints. So I don't want to sit into my left or right hip. I want to use my hip bones and have my feet underneath. So that's my legs too wide, too narrow, just right underneath the hip bones. My arms are right over my shoulders, as you can see. And then in mountain pose, I can have my hands opened up, or I can bring them to prayer. For your pelvis, you don't want to have it too tilted forward, and you also don't want to have it too far back. You don't want to have your back too hunched, and you don't want to banana your back. You want to engage your core and bring your shoulder blades together behind your back. Broad in the chest, opening up your neck. You should have a little bit of mobility, of course, and you can move it around and see what's comfortable. I'm putting my weight towards the back portion of my feet, and then I'm showing you how if I could be pushed in the wind, I would stand strong as a mountain. When you bring your arms up, you want to make sure you don't banana your back. So if you can't bring your arms that high, lower them. Maybe bring them out in front. Maybe up at a 45. Maybe eventually you work your way to mobility in the shoulder. Your arm distance, you want to have your elbows together, engage your core. You should be able to grab onto elbows. So everyone's arms are different lengths, widths, I should say. So wherever your arms naturally go without overextending your back, because you don't want to do a back bend. This is a back bend. You're just bringing your arms up and overhead. Now the fold. Nice and easy as we come down. Now you're not just trying to reach down really hard, and you're not trying to hurt your lower back. You want to be able to straighten out your back a little bit, and maybe you need to put blocks in front of your hands or bring something up. Maybe come to a table, flatten out the back, rotate the pelvis forward, and then begin to fold a little bit. And over time, you'll be able to maybe come a little bit lower and lower. Maybe you do want to get your lower back, so you bend the knees, but just remember, you don't want to just crank forward like I was just showing. A nice easy bend in the knees, and then maybe you can round the spine a little bit to be able to get the lower back. Different heights here show you where to put your hands on the block. Maybe you want to wrap your arms around bent knees again to really target the lower back. You don't really want to come into a question mark. You're just trying to get a nice stretch without hurting your back. And you're really not pulling and hurting yourself. So even if you have to do a deep bend in the knees, it's fine. And remember, release the neck, release the chin. Try not to crank your head up. Now let's talk about using blocks. Feel free to put your blocks on either side of your feet. Here we're going to step back using the blocks. So you see I lift my foot, I press it back, I gently bring it to the back of the mat, and then we're going to talk about our knee. So you want your front knee to be at a 90-degree angle. Now I'm going to remove the blocks so you can see the 90-degree angle that I have with my knee. So you don't want your knee to have too much of an acute angle, so your knee's too far forward or too far back. You also want to have your hips your thigh kind of parallel to the ground, so your hips aren't too high or too low. You also don't want to have a twist to the hips, twisting to the left or to the right. Same with your shoulders. You just want to have a nice 90-degree angle, and again, not too high, not too low. If you need to stretch out your hamstring on your right leg, you could always do different modifications, either standing or like I'm showing now, to stretch out that hamstring. Now, pressing into your right foot, engaging your core, strong in that leg, in that left leg, hands on the blocks, pushing back into downward facing dog with the blocks. Now, finding a nice downward dog with the blocks is important. Try not to have a bend in the back like I'm showing here. You want to lift your tailbone and then open up your shoulders. Press through with your chest, not having your head bob up above your shoulders. Maybe you need to adjust the feet. And now I'm removing the blocks. Now I'm going to show you a few ways to step forward. So you don't want to fling your leg up and forward. That's me an exaggeration, losing my balance on both sides. See that? Always slow and in control. You also don't want to just skip the foot forward either. You want to bring the knee into the chest, engage the core. If your foot only goes halfway, grab a hold of it, bring it forward. There you go. Or find your blocks, place them on either side. Engage that knee, bringing it into the chest, stepping your foot forward, and the blocks will help there. Stepping onto that right foot, lifting the left foot, bringing it forward. A little balance here. Finding a nice deep fold, and we'll come out of it. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, fold. And now let's talk about plank. So I'm going to just step right back into plank. So you don't want to just stick your butt up or down. I'm going to bring my knees down and also show you for the shoulders, you don't want to just have your chest falling through, your shoulders rising. You actually want to bring your chest up and you have your shoulders a little forward, strong in the core. And you can always bring your knees down, chest and then chin, elbows tucked in, coming through to cobra. I'm going to show you your elbows want to be locked in, not all over the place. Your legs don't want to be all over the place. Feet down. You don't want to crank your neck up. Your elbows locked in, toes together, and then your gaze should be right in front of you where I'm pointing, not way up, right in front of you. If you want to slowly lift your hands up, engage your core, you can. Now, bending at the knees, stepping back up into downward facing dog, and let's go through plank and chaturanga. Upward facing dog, so your legs are lifted off the ground, not coming down. You don't want to slunk your shoulders. You want to have your chest open. You don't want to just crank your neck all the way up either. You want to have a nice gaze forward. Pushing back to downward facing dog. And then I'm going to step down onto my knees and talk about hand placement for chaturanga. So I'll say this a few times. You want your elbows locked into your ribs. That's where your hands are in plank, pressing down to chaturanga. Notice that your body has to come forward. Plank, chaturanga. "90-degree bend in the arm, plank, chaturanga. And let's do it again just on our knees. Modified plank on the knees, and then chaturanga, elbows knitted in, 90-degree angle at the elbow. All right, and then we're going to push back and talk about opening up shoulders. So how I get my hands up and overhead, my arms up and overhead. So I'm going to come to child's pose, but I'm going to use the blocks. I'm going to put the blocks like this in front of me. And then I'm going to place my elbows on those blocks. So I'm coming into a wide-legged child's pose. I'm placing my elbows on the blocks. My hands are clasped, and then they go behind the nape of my neck as my head goes between the blocks. And this really opens up and stretches out my shoulders. You can have someone else push where I'm putting that blue block, the lower back, or between your shoulder blades. And if these blocks are too much, you can always just remove them, bringing your elbows down, hands in prayer, head down below your arms, and then bringing your hands behind the nape of your neck. Now I'm going to demonstrate how to do Sun Salutation A with the blocks. So I just put the blocks alongside each of my feet, and inhale, arms out and up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, step the right leg back. Exhale, left leg back, downward dog. Inhale, forward. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, right leg forward. Exhale, left leg forward. Inhale, arms out and up. Exhale, fold. Inhale, step the left leg back. Exhale, step the right leg back, downward facing dog. Inhale to a plank. Exhale, knees, chest, chin. Inhale, cobra or upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, left leg forward. Exhale, right leg forward. Inhale, coming all the way up to stand. Exhale, hands to heart center. Now I'm going to show you a modified Sun Salutation A on the elbows using dolphin. Inhale, bring your arms out and up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, right leg back, lunge. Exhale, left leg back, downward facing dog. Coming down to dolphin. Adjusting the legs, and then coming into a modified plank using the legs. Knees already on your elbows, and then coming through upward facing dog or cobra, pushing back into dolphin, and then stepping back into your hands and knees, bringing your right leg forward. Inhale, exhale, left leg forward. Inhale, coming up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, step the left leg back. Exhale, step the right leg back. Downward facing dog. Then lowering onto the elbows for dolphin. Here, I forgot it, so I froze. From dolphin, adjusting your legs to come into a modified plank. And then we'll lower down into knees, chest, chin, and then pulling through into a modified cobra. Pressing up through plank, pushing into dolphin. Bringing your hands back into the game, coming through downward facing dog, stepping the left leg forward into a lunge, right leg forward, fold. Inhale, arms out and up. Exhale, hands to heart center. When working on dolphin or just getting more mobility in the shoulders, you can always use a yoga strap or anything similar to a strap. So getting it to the length of where you just want it so that you can kind of grab onto your elbows. And you can bring your hands to either position, prayer or out long. I like putting my hands in prayer. And you can just use this as a technique to keep your elbows from splaying out. And that way, if you're coming up into Pinchamayurasana, like I was trying to do, you're ready for it. And anytime you're doing an inversion, coming into child's pose, so talking about child's pose, my knees are wide here. I can have my arms around my legs, or I can thread my arms between my legs, grabbing onto my feet. Either cheek can rest on the ground, the mat. Finally, let's talk about comfortable seated position. I really like to emphasize using a block, putting the block under the sit bones. You might find that you need to use a block if you're coming into a seat and you just can't manage to stay upright. So I'm going to demonstrate. So you kind of just feel like you got to use everything to stay upright because your pelvis just isn't ready. Or maybe your arms, it's easier to just hold your weight with your arms back behind you. So instead of doing that, grab a block. Place the block underneath your sit bones, and that helps to align your pelvis a little higher so it's a little bit less of a hip flexor stretch. Try not to let your back, your lumbar spine bow out. Have your shoulders nice rolled back. You can have your hands up or down. You can find a mudra. You can place your hands on your knees and crossed. You can bring your shoulders up to your ears, rolling them back and down. I also have a block underneath my legs when I'm sitting down onto the back of my legs. So multiple different positions you can use, showing that my knees are together. So you can have it on the medium height. If you're really tight, you can bring it onto the high height, which is fine. Again, adjust your back. You could also have your feet tucked, and notice that I need to bring mine to the higher height if I have my feet tucked. So you can untuck your feet. You could always, once you work towards this, come all the way down between your calves, knees together, and you'll get a really good stretch here. So that's all I have for you today. Thank you so much for joining me. Have a wonderful rest of your weekends. Namaste.